She stepped into the glass-walled conference room at Nextlify. The atmosphere chilled instantly as she entered. No designer purse, no stilettos, no gleaming watch, just a reserved woman in worn flats, a simple ponytail, and a plain folder clutched tightly. The HR director raised an eyebrow and muttered sharply. She looks like she raided a lost and found bin. A sharply dressed man in a tailored suit, another candidate, jumped in without pause. We're here for top talent, not charity cases. Snickers spread across the room. The panel barely glanced at her resume, their eyes scanning her like she was an error in the system. Someone muttered, "Who forgot to cancel her?" But Sarah Bennett stood firm, her expression steady, folder in hand. They had no idea who she was. They didn't know the man who'd built this empire from nothing was her husband. Nextlify's Silicon Valley headquarters towered like a monolith, 50 floors of steel and glass, a tech juggernaut shaping the world. The 40th floor interview room was a nerve center. A long oak table, floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing the valley, screens buzzing with data. Sarah, 30, walked in, her dark hair tied back, her green eyes sharp yet calm. She was striking, with a quiet elegance, but her thrift store outfit and scuffed flats branded her an outsider. Beneath her unassuming exterior was a mind that could shatter code like brittle glass and a will that wouldn't break. She'd fought through rounds of interviews for a leadership role, her nights spent perfecting systems that powered Nextlify's success. But they didn't see that. They saw a nobody in cheap clothes. The panel sat like a tribunal, 5 of them, suits crisp, faces colder than the glass walls. Karen Walsh, HR director, presided at the head, her navy blazer a warning, her auburn hair pulled tight. Michael Reed, senior exec, lounged beside her, his gold watch glinting, pins spinning in his hand. Ethan Carter, 28, a trust fund kid, smirked in a suit that screamed wealth, his tie a sleek knot. Rachel Liu, data strategist, peered through rimless glasses, her lips a tight line. David Holt, operations lead, leaned back, arms crossed, his crew cut, catching the light. Hundreds had applied. Now it was Sarah versus Ethan, but their glances said the contest was already decided. Sarah handed Karen her resume plain paper, no flair, just her name and a record of quiet victories. Karen smirked, passing it to Michael without a look. He flicked it back, scoffing, no point. The pages slid across the table, landing askew before Sarah. No relevant experience, mediocre education, wrong field, Karen said, her tone sharp as if Sarah had insulted them by showing up. Sarah stood taller, voice even. I've spent 8 years building scalable systems. My last startup tripled revenue with my framework. I'm here because I can solve problems Nextlify hasn't even identified. Ethan laughed, cutting in. Scalable systems? What, like a food truck app? This isn't a sympathy hire. Karen smirked. She's dreaming. Probably thinks a database is cutting edge. Rachel leaned forward. What's your degree? Sociology. Sarah corrected. Computer science, AI ethics focus. I've published. David interrupted. Published? We need results, not essays. You're out of your league. Sarah tried again. My last project cut processing times by Ethan drowned her out. Spare us the fairy tales. No one's buying. Karen grabbed a marker, scrawling loser, across Sarah's resume, the ink bleeding as she sneered. Your new title. Ethan hooted. Sign it. Frame it. Michael clapped. A masterpiece of failure. The panel roared, phones out, filming the defaced pages. Sarah stood steady, ink smearing under her fingers as she held the resume, her flats rooted. Her calm was a shield against their cruelty. The venom spread. Karen tapped her pen. You're wasting our time. Did you borrow that skirt from a dumpster? Michael chuckled. Dressed for a garage sale. Where's the bargain bin? Ethan leaned back. Never seen a boardroom, have you? Maybe in a sitcom. Their laughter echoed, sharp and biting, a pack circling prey. Sarah stayed composed. I'm here to discuss qualifications, not clothes. Karen rolled her eyes. Qualifications? Sweetie, you don't have any. Rachel smirked. Try retail. That's your speed. David grinned. Stick to the bottom. This is the big leagues, not a handout. Rachel upped the stakes, grabbing a stapler and firing it at Sarah's papers, metal teeth punching holes. Let's shred the fantasy. David laughed. Swiss cheese resume. Karen smirked. Matches her empty head. The pages tore, staples scattering, and Sarah bent to gather them, hands steady despite the sting. Rachel kicked them off the table. Trash stays down. Sarah's silence was a wall they couldn't break. They didn't stop. Michael stood. Let's make it interesting. A surprise test. Logic and coding now. Pen and paper only. Prove you're not a fraud. He shoved a thick packet her way, 10 pages of problems, gnarled and brutal, designed to crush most coders. Sarah took it, hands steady. All right. Her pen flew, equations, loops, and proofs spilling out like she'd lived them. 5 minutes passed. Ethan yawned loudly. Karen scrolled her phone. Rachel muttered, "She's scribbling gibberish." Sarah slid the packet back. Done. Michael snatched it, glanced at a corner, then tore it in half, the rip slicing the silence. He tossed it in the trash. Barely passable. Total waste. Ethan escalated, grabbing a water pitcher and pouring it over Sarah's head, the cold soaking her blouse and skirt. Cool off, dreamer, he jeered. Michael cackled. She's a drenched mess now. Rachel snapped a photo. Viral gold. Water dripped down Sarah's face, pooling at her flats, but she didn't flinch, standing firm, her strength a flame they couldn't extinguish. Karen grabbed her phone. Security now? Intruder alert. Ethan laughed. Escort her out. She's a stain on this room. David smirked. Don't trip, darling. 2 guards stormed in, black polos, badges gleaming. One gripped her arm, the other yanked her folder. David tore it from her hands, ripping it to shreds, papers fluttering like confetti. No fakes allowed. Karen cheered. Tear her dreams apart. Ethan tossed a pen at her. Write your sob story elsewhere. The scraps hit the floor, and Sarah knelt to gather them, fingers steady. David stomped them into the carpet. Stay down, nobody. Her calm was a rock they couldn't shatter. Move. A guard growled, pulling her to the door. Sarah didn't resist, walking silently, face composed as Ethan shouted, "Mailroom's hiring." The door slammed, their laughter leaking through as the elevator took her down. Humiliated, but her spine stayed straight. Michael sealed the ordeal, dumping a trash can over Sarah as the guards pulled her. Coffee grounds and crumpled paper rained down. This is your place, he sneered. Rachel laughed. Garbage girl, perfected. Karen clapped. Perfect exit for a fraud. The mess clung to her wet blouse, ground sticking to her hair. Sarah shook it off, her flats slipping, but she didn't break, walking on, her green eyes fierce, their cruelty a storm she faced without blinking. It didn't end there. Karen leaned in as Sarah passed, hissing, "You're a joke. Go back to flipping burgers." Michael flicked a paperclip at her. "Your bonus. Spend it wisely." It bounced off her shoulder. Ethan stood. "Let's give her a send-off." He grabbed a half-full coffee cup, cold and stale, and splashed it across her blouse, the brown stain spreading fast. "Nextlify's welcome," he jeered. Rachel clapped. "She's branded now." Sarah wiped her cheek, coffee dripping, but didn't waver, walking as the guards pulled harder. The lobby hit like a slap marble gleaming, employees bustling, oblivious to the woman in a stained blouse being marched out. The guards didn't relent. One shoved her shoulder. "Keep moving." The other tossed her folder into a bin by the exit. "Don't come back," he barked as the glass doors swung open. Sarah stepped into the sunlight, coffee staining her shirt, resume trashed, but her green eyes stayed clear. She'd faced worse years of grinding, proving herself in rooms that rejected her. This wasn't about pride. It was about every person they'd crushed before her. She pulled out her phone, dialed James. "It's me." It went bad. His voice tightened. "How bad?" She told him, calm, no tears, the coffee, the test, the guards. "I'm coming," he said. Now. Morning broke with its own storm. Nextlify's executive floor hummed with tension and emergency meeting, no warning, no mercy. Senior leaders filed into the boardroom, 30 of them, suits pressed, faces taut, shareholders watching, a live feed streaming to investors worldwide. The room was a battlefield ready to erupt. The oak table stretched long, screens glowing, the valley sprawling below. Karen sat up front, blazer crisp. Michael twirled his pen. Ethan lounged, tie loose. Rachel adjusted her glasses. David checked his watch. They thought it was a power play, promotions, raises, their chance to shine. Then the doors burst open, and the world shifted. James next strode in tall, 42, Dark hair streaked with gray, black suit sharp as a blade, gray eyes cold as steel. The elusive CEO of Nextlify, a billionaire who'd risen from nothing, a kid from a trailer park coding on a borrowed laptop, turning scraps into an empire that dominated tech. Feared in boardrooms from Tokyo to New York, he'd been a shadow for months, running things from the sidelines. Everyone stood, chairs scraping, breaths held. Beside him was Sarah, same stained blouse, same skirt, flats tapping softly, ponytail swaying, her green eyes unyielding. Faces paled. Karen's pen snapped. Michael's clattered. Ethan shrank. Rachel's glasses fogged. David choked. James stopped, voice deadly calm. Sit. They dropped like stones. He scanned them. I gave this team one task: evaluate candidates for leadership to see who's ready to rise. But yesterday, you didn't interview a candidate. He paused, the silence cutting like a knife, then turned to Sarah. You insulted my wife. Gasps broke the air. Karen's hand shook. Michael's jaw dropped. Ethan's chair creaked as he shrank further. James stepped closer. Sarah and I built Nextlify from nothing. 2 broke kids, no sleep, no money. I handled the hardware. She crafted the AI. Every system you profit from, her mind's the foundation. You didn't just miss a resume. You humiliated the woman I love most. He pointed at Karen, Michael, Ethan, Rachel, David. Repeat what you said yesterday. Now, to the board. The room froze. Karen stammered. 2 didn't. James cut her off. No dodging. Speak. A tech flicked the screen, security footage playing raw and loud. Karen's hiss. She looks like a student applying for a part-time job. Ethan's cackle. Janitorial services. Where's the mop? Michael's sneer. No experience. Wrong major. Rachel's jab. Try retail. David's quip. Out of her depth. Michael again, dressed for a garage sale. Ethan's finale. Mailroom's hiring. The boardroom stilled. Shareholders shifted. Investors glared through the feed. The words were a death knell. Karen's navy blazer was a shroud now, her marker a noose. She'd defaced the woman whose code ran their empire, her hands trembling as she faced the board, her smug hiss replayed for millions, her career in ashes. Michael's gold watch hung useless, his coffee splash a chain. He'd soaked the mine behind their profits, and the trash he dumped buried him, his name blacklisted. Ethan's tailored suit sagged, his water dump a scar. He'd drenched Nextlify's soul, and his trust fund doors slammed shut, his laughter a ghost as investors jeered. The screen burned their shame into history, every sneer a nail in their coffins. Sarah's quiet strength was their executioner. James didn't flinch. You tore her test solved perfectly, faster than you could dream. You threw coffee. You called security. Say it again. Karen's lips quivered. I can't. Ethan stared at his shoes, silent. Michael rasped, mistake. Rachel whispered, we didn't know. David croaked, sorry. James leaned in. Sorry means nothing. You showed me who you are, small, cruel, blind. Nextlify doesn't carry dead weight. He nodded to security. Same guards, same polos. Take them. They're done. The room held its breath as the guards moved. Karen's blazer dragged. Michael's watch dangled. Ethan's tie flopped. Rachel's glasses slipped. David's crew cut bowed. The fallout was swift. Karen, Michael, Ethan, Rachel, David fired on the spot, badges stripped, marched out as the board watched. Shareholders nodded. Investors typed furiously. Rachel's glasses couldn't hide her fall, her staples await. She'd shredded the work of Nextlify's architect, and now her resume was trash, her viral photos a curse as the industry turned away. David's crew cut bowed low, his folder tearing a brand. He'd ripped apart the woman who built their world, and his stomp echoed as he hit rock bottom. The boardroom's silence roared with their ruin. Every laugh, every jab, a boomerang that crushed them. James's quiet fury and Sarah's steady gaze were the gavel. Their own words were the rope. Nextlify blacklisted them, their names scorched across the industry. No firm would touch them, resumed shredded, calls blocked, LinkedIn profiles dead. Karen's blazer hit a thrift rack. Michael's watch was pawned for rent. Ethan's trust fund abandoned him. Rachel's glasses sold for scraps. David's swagger crumbled to dust. Their titles, reputations, lives erased for sneering at a woman they didn't see. 6 months later, rain pounded a downtown station. Commuters rushed, umbrellas snapping. Michael Reed slumped against a wall, once a Nextlify exec, now unshaven, coat tattered, a cardboard sign trembling in his hands. Please help. His watch was gone, his sneer a faint echo, his fingers shaking in the cold. Flats clicked. Sarah, ponytail steady, now in a charcoal coat, her presence a quiet force. She'd just keynote at an AI ethics summit, her voice shaping the future while his fell apart. She paused, reached into her pocket, pulled a quarter shiny, cold and dropped it into his palm. It gleamed. The man who'd torn her test now clutched her coin. She met his eyes, a faint smile flickering, then walked on, flats tapping, her strength a silent storm. That coin wasn't pity. It was justice, sharp and cold. Sarah didn't need to shout. She let their rot bury them. She'd forged Nextlify's core, and they'd spat on it until James turned their world to ash. Now she stood taller while they sank, a lesson carved in their fall.